thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited for this conversation. I know small tidbits about you, not too much, obviously through Instagram. Our kids are together in a program,
Yes.
so I hear some things
Bits
that
and
come
pieces.
home. And I'm really excited because I feel like you entered a completely new chapter in your life. And I'm always like looking at how like a person that struggles, they feel like they're in a tunnel and they never know when this tunnel is going to be over and when the light is going to come out. And I think life is a tunnel all in all. It's just a matter of like ups and downs, and it's all here to teach us something. But there are definitely moments where we get like, we feel like we're out of the tunnel and we feel like we're out of like a specific really difficult part in our
100%.
lives. And I think that you are there, and I think it'll be so inspiring for us to hear what that journey has been like. What has it been like for you till you got there, and what it's like for you actually to feel it right now as you're in it. So I'm curious to hear all of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So honored. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
So I do want to start off with a question that I like to ask, and I think it's a nice question to ask just to reflect. If you were able to look back at the girl that just got divorced, right? You had two tiny little kids at that point.
Yeah.
You were completely alone. You were juggling everything on your own, okay? From finances to childcare to working to taking care of the kids, Shabbasim, Yomim Tovim, everything literally alone. What would you tell that girl?
Wow. It really sounds like so much. It's like crazy thinking back. I'm like, I don't know how I did it. So I got married when I was 19. I was married for about 4 years. My kids were 1.5 and 3 at the time. And it was really, really difficult. Like you said, like everything was just on me. Suddenly it's just like work. I had just started working back then. Like I only had graduated from college like a year prior. So it was really a lot. What would I tell her? I think I would tell her to really take the time to focus on herself, myself, and really get to know who I was at the time. I went from being married at a very young age to quickly being a mother and working, and never really exploring who I was as an individual. And I think that really led to a lot of things in relationships that didn't end up working out because I was just very codependent. There was a lot of enmeshment, and I just feel like I should have taken the time to heal, get to know myself, what I wanted, what I was looking for, and also know that I was worthy of love. There was a really long time that I thought that being divorced with kids is like baggage and that nobody's gonna want me because I have kids. Like I really, really felt that in my bones. And again, that like made me attract the kind of men that I did. I really felt like nobody's gonna want me. So I really feel like that's what I would go back and tell myself.
But like, what do you think she needed to hear most at that point?
That she's worthy of love, not to settle.
Would you say like this is like the main theme that held you throughout this whole period?
I think so. I didn't really fully pinpoint that until down the line. Hindsight's like 2020.
Yeah.
But I didn't really go to therapy after my divorce. It was not only till much later that I did. So I just kept getting into relationships that were reflective of myself and how I viewed what I was worth or what I deserved. I was just going through the motions, not really actually doing any work or healing. And I did end up in another relationship, a little bit, but not so much that like, I feel like you really do need to take more time after, especially a divorce. I did not take the time and I ended up in another relationship. The relationship totally did not align with any of my values, but because I thought that no one's ever going to want me and I'm going to be single for the rest of my life, that like this guy wants me, so I should just say yes because somebody wants me. So as long as it's somebody, it doesn't matter. At least it's not nobody. I had such a fear of being alone and nobody is going to end up wanting me for who I am or wanting me, period, that I just ended up settling even though the values didn't align. I had no awareness of relationship dynamics or anything like that. So it ended up being a very toxic cycle of anxious avoidant. Just a very anxious avoidant relationship, a lot of codependency and enmeshment. And I didn't even think that it was not normal because the highs were high. So it was like, oh, I was just focusing on the good parts and not really seeing why this relationship is so toxic and not for me, and just leaving.
Okay. Walk me through that. Like, what made you realize at a point that that's not for you anymore?
I think a friend of mine, friend Deborah, she's my best friend. We're friends since we're like 3 years old, even though she doesn't remember that part. She was the one who consistently encouraged me to go to therapy, even after my divorce. And I just, for some reason, I guess I didn't listen. I don't know. It was just
Why? Like, what were your thoughts about therapy that held you back from
I
going?
think it was just the stigma of how I grew up, and all therapists need therapists, even though it's true. I would need my therapist to have a therapist. Like, no therapist should just go around listening to everybody else's problems and not working through that, or not working through their own work that they need to do. So I think it's amazing that all therapists need therapists, but that was the stigma of, nothing's wrong. You don't really need therapy. So I don't remember at what point I decided, okay, I'm going to actually give it a try. At that point, I also came across this page on Instagram. Now she's another one of my really good friends, Leah Unger. She had posted a lot about anxious avoidant relationships, attachment styles, codependency. She herself has been in one of those relationships and has come out of it. And all of her posts really resonated with me. I would read the captions. I remember looking and rereading, and I'm like, this is me. And I remember reaching out to her, and she actually reached back out to me, and we had whole conversations, and we even met up in person, and that's how we became friends. So she really taught me a lot about everything that I know now about anxious avoidant relationships. And I did start going to coaching therapy. But I think once you're in it, even though you're in therapy, it's so hard to get out of that relationship because you're already stuck in that cycle. It's easier to just end it and start new. Once you're in it, this cycle just keeps going again and again, where you're on again, you're off again. And I don't think it was till that relationship was officially over that I actually started to heal.
I think it's so powerful that you're saying that sometimes it is about like detaching, getting out of the situation to help you be able to actually heal.
Yeah.
Because then you're not in it.
Right.
And you're able to reflect properly.
Mm-hmm.
And your feelings are not right now like dependent on someone else's movement.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
I remember trying to think that I could fix him. I can explain to him about anxious avoidant relationships, and I'll do my part and he'll want to do his. And trying to fix. And again, it was just no. I really had to just be out of there and learn my self-worth. And again, our values didn't even align, but I just kept thinking that I could fix it and change it so that our values would align, so that we would be together, because nobody else is going to want me if this relationship ends also.
So what did that look like? The relationship ended, right? And you started healing. So what did the healing look like? Like, give me practical examples of what that actually looked like.
So I think at first there was the whole grieving part of it, which was really hard. I actually think that grieving that relationship was 10 times, if not more, harder than my divorce. I think I had a lot of the knowledge from being in therapy, even while in that relationship, but nothing really actually integrated until after. But I also feel like talk therapy wasn't enough. I feel like talk therapy helped me know and understand a lot of what was happening, but for some reason my body wasn't catching up. And so it wasn't really until I actually started doing somatic body work that I really started feeling a difference and realizing that I'm worthy of more.
Okay.
So that was craniosacral work, that was breath work, that was energy healing. There was this guided meditation that I listened to by Dr. Joe Dispenza. It has high frequencies and it helps you or encourages you to visualize how you want your future to look and actually get into the feeling of how it would feel to be in such a relationship. And so I took a paper, I wrote down all the qualities that I'm looking for in, a partner and what it would feel like to actually be in a healthy relationship. Valued, seen for who I am. And I remember doing that and listening to that every single night.
Sorry, I'm just curious. Like, let's say somatics, right? And breath work. And there was something else that you said. I'm not sure what that is.
Craniosacral?
Yeah, what is that?
It was in person. She came and she would like touch certain parts of the bodies and there would be things in the body that opens up. And sometimes I guess there's blockages in the body.
Okay.
And that's why sometimes your brain with what you know and your body with what you do doesn't match, doesn't line up.
Okay.
And so this really helped my body catch up with everything that I learned.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm curious, like how the energy work connects to the therapy. Like, where is the connection that happens? Is it like that you're able to like be more in tune with yourself, hear yourself, block out the noise, that you're able to like connect to yourself in a different way?
Because talk therapy was just giving me the knowledge, but I felt like I was still doing the same habits and patterns that I was, even though I knew and I understood the logic behind it. So like I understood what was happening and like why I should change my habits and patterns, but they weren't actually changing. I was still in the same constant patterns.
Okay.
It wasn't shifting anything.
Okay.
So for some reason I had to do a lot of releasing things in the body.
Okay.
That could have been things from childhood of, having emotionally unavailable parents or things like that. Instead of just understanding what your therapist is telling you of you deserve more and things like that, it was actually working on the inner child. And that ends up
attracting to ourselves.
Yes, that's the word. Attracting.
Okay.
Like, yes, you end up attracting the love that you perceived or received as a child. That's what you end up attracting in relationships.
Okay. I find somatics to be very interesting, to be honest. I was doing therapy for a very long time, for many, many years. And someone invited me to like a somatic movement group. Like I would say, I think it was last year, like the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And I started going and it's like a movement, kind of movement therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you tap in and you move and like you also do it in a very vulnerable way. So people are watching you. And in the beginning I was like, oh my God, I'm never doing such a thing in my life. Like I literally like looked
really
at
vulnerable.
Everyone. I'm like, you guys are a bunch of weirdos. I'm never doing this. And then I just kept on going back. And then one day I'm like, I'm going to do this. And it was so powerful. Like to me, what it felt like to me was like this connection of like really going in.
Mm-hmm.
Like so deeply in a way that nothing could compare to that. Like literally nothing. And I loved it.
Yeah. IFS is also another kind where you're like going into your body, feeling where things are, breathing into that space. So I did do group breathwork as well. It was also weird for me.
Yeah.
I did end up working with somebody one-on-one after that. There is, something about doing group healing that is like true, but it was also uncomfortable for me. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah. But it pushed me to be vulnerable.
Right.
And be like, all right, you're all here. You're all going to look at me. Watch me be weird.
I feel like we think that, but I don't really know if anyone is actually sitting and staring at you,
No. I mean, and they're
Everyone's
doing the same
busy
thing.
with their own thing.
Yeah, exactly. So you're saying you started this journey of healing, like somatics is actually what clicked and made it.
I think that's what really clicked brain and body was somatics for me, 100%.
And what did your like dating life or your relationships look like after that?
I changed my beliefs of what I was worthy of. It's not like there's nobody out there that's going to want me. And I was aware of relationship patterns and anxious avoidant relationships and how I contributed to those dynamics. So I was able to pick things up quicker. I actually remember like literally any guy that I met, I was like, I need to first find out if he's an anxious or an avoidant. That was like the first thing. I was like, I'm not getting into a relationship with an avoidant. That was like the first thing that I was like, okay, I need to first figure this out.
I'm guessing that all of this, like this whole pattern, starting from your marriage, going into the other relationship, and going into healing, had an impact on your self worth, and your self confidence, how you showed up for yourself, and how you probably showed up for other people. Can you walk me through that a little bit?
I just feel like in general with work, I could say mainly work, I'm trying to think other areas, but just not accepting anything that is not what you feel you deserve. Just saying no to everything that is not it. I believe that like the universe ends up opening up paths for you. If you end up shutting down everything that's a no, you'll end up on the path of what you're looking for. So that can really apply to not just dating. It can be applying to work or anything else.
And that came along with like your self-worth, with feeling like I'm worthy for this. I'm not desperate. I'm not just going to turn to that. I'm not going to turn to that.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, not being desperate, not accepting breadcrumbs, knowing that I deserve more. Yeah.
Coming out of your divorce, how did you view men? And how has that changed over the years? Especially now, since you're engaged.
Yes. Interestingly, I don't think I can remember or if I had any specific views of men after my divorce. In my head, it was just like we weren't a match. We just came from different backgrounds, had different mentalities, and it didn't work. But just from being in the divorced world for as long as I was or whatever, I'm divorced for 10 years, a lot of women have generalizations. All men suck. All men are immature. How can we as women expect to find a healthy partnership if all we're going around thinking is that all men suck and all men can't communicate and women don't need men? I feel like also the whole thing with confirmation bias, where what you're focusing on, if you're going to keep saying all men suck, all men are immature, you're subconsciously going to end up in situations that are going to prove that thought right.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I couldn't have that mentality if I wanted to be able to find a healthy, mature person. And I decided to focus and look out for people that I knew who were in healthy, happy, positive relationships. And the statement in my head became, they do exist, like emotionally mature men do exist. I just need to find one that is for me.
This is like a conscious decision that you made in your head. How long ago was this?
At least 5 years ago, if not more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you realized that you may be going down that path where you would think like negatively of men.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to go there.
Right. Yeah. Because confirmation bias, you're going to end up, you're subconsciously going to end up proving to find those situations to be accurate. And so if you keep thinking that way, that's what's going to end up coming your way.
Okay. So then you changed your mind and you're like, no, men are mature. They're great.
Not all men. I just had the narrative that they do exist.
Okay.
Not that all men, because we know that they're not.
Okay.
But that they do exist and it's out there, and I just need to find one.
Could we get into your current relationship?
Sure.
Okay.
I love talking about Brad.
How did that happen?
Okay. Originally, I always told all my friends I will never marry anybody who had children. Like, I had children, but I don't know what it was that I was like, I'm never going to date anybody that has kids. I'm not going to marry anybody that has kids. Like, I would hear like a guy's age and I would say, no, it's not for me. Like, I would just shut things down without actually looking at the full picture, without seeing the person for who they are. But by the time Brad came around, I had already opened myself up, I don't know how, to really seeing the person for who they are and not just these little bits and pieces. I was also more open to just saying, yes, Brad has 3 children. He is 11 and a half years older than me. Wow. I went to my esthetician, Sherry, and she asked me if I would mind if she posts me on some Facebook group. And I was like, yes, whatever. I'm saying I've put myself on those groups. Nothing really came out of it. It's usually the same few guys. I'm like, oh, you're pretty, nothing of substance. So I told her yes. I gave her a little blurb. I sent her 3 pictures. She posted me. Obviously, there were the plenty of same kind of responses, like I said before, like nothing really of substance. And then there was Brad. He didn't even reach out to me directly. He reached out to Shari and he asked her, hey, I saw you posted this of your friend. Is it okay if I reach out to her? Does she want to go through you? Like, he was just very respectful. So right off the bat, I already saw or heard from her. She was like, oh, this person messaged me. Just the way he responded was not just like a simple, hey, you're cute, tell me about yourself or anything like that. She told him that I would rather it go through me. I didn't need the go-between in between her. So he messaged me directly. Just something of his message was like, oh, this seems like a normal person. We scheduled a phone call because, I didn't want to just go out without having a conversation first. I kid you not, the phone call was 4 hours long.
Nuh-uh.
I can't even say exactly what we spoke about for 4 hours, but again, I got straight to tachlis, meat and potatoes, whatever you want to call it, straight on. First of all, we were in similar fields. We're both in the medical field, so we had what to connect on that. I was able to already see that he was communicative. He's not just sitting there talking about himself. He's asking me questions. He wants to hear more about me. We scheduled an in-person date for 2 days later. And again, that date went for hours long. We went mini golfing and then afterwards we just sat and talked. I literally came home from that date and I have the text messages to prove it. I texted all my friends. I met my husband. So we spoke a lot about personal growth. That's something that's really important to me. I also like that he was very accountable. When speaking about our divorces, he was able to take about accountability for how he contributed to the downfall of his relationship. And that was something that was also really important to me in therapy, was taking accountability into how I was contributing to the toxicity of the relationship. So it was really important for me that he was able to be open about that. He was very open and has gone to therapy. That was something that was also really important to me, coming from me who had not gone to therapy at all for so long after. But it was really important to me that this was somebody who is open to personal growth, has done work, had his head on their shoulders. Had I met Brad right after my divorce 10 years ago, it would have been nothing. We would not have been a match. We wouldn't have been at all anything. So I really think I had to work through everything that I did to become who I was, to actually have our values and everything align. Okay, I have a really funny story that I feel like is hysterical, and it's just so interesting how God's ways work. But so we met on Facebook. Brad and I met on Facebook. I saw his birthday on Facebook because it was posted there. So his birthday is the same as my ex-husband.
That's crazy.
So,
so crazy.
Originally I saw that and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. That's strange, but I was like, it's different years. So it's different. Exactly. Yeah. Just coincidence. I think it was about a month and a half to 2 months later. I was by my friend for Shabbos, and it was Matzah Shabbos, and it was on Shabbos, and she's like, by the way, what's his Hebrew name? And I'm like, I never asked him. I don't know why. I totally forgot. It never crossed my mind to ask him. So Matzah Shabbos came, and I was like, okay, I'm going to text Brad. By the way, what's your Hebrew name? I totally forgot to ask you. And he jokingly, I could totally have a screenshot of this. It's hysterical. He totally was like, I fear to tell you my Hebrew birthday because I already share birthdays with someone you know. And I'm like, as long as it's not Baruch, we're good. And he's like,
no. So he knew already before.
She did not know.
You didn't know?
She did not know.
Oh my God.
And Brad also didn't know what my ex-husband's name was.
Oh my God.
And I was like, as long as it's not Baruch, we're good. And he's like, shut up. And I'm like, no, it's Baruch. You're for real? It was hilarious. And he was so serious. I totally understand if you want to end the relationship now. I totally understand. If I share the same name and the same birthday. He was so serious that he thought that I was going to end the relationship right then and there. And I'm like, no, it's fine. You go by Brad. It's okay. But it's it was so funny how I didn't ask him right away. Because if I would have asked him earlier on, I feel like it might have been a no. But because we were already dating for like a month and a half or whatever it was, I was like, okay, you know, he's a different personality, he's a different person. So I guess Hashem worked his ways mysteriously that I didn't ask until a while later. But it was really funny.
Wow. It is. It is. It's
like
so
what are the chances?
ironic. But it's so like, what? Yeah.
It was very odd.
Yeah. What's it like? I'm curious, like combining two families, you with your kids, him with his kids. Like, what does that look like?
So we definitely first wanted to date for a while before introducing each other's kids. We only really wanted to do that once we knew for sure that this was going to go somewhere serious. We didn't want to. I was the first person that he dated after his marriage, like that he dated seriously. So we didn't want to just start introducing our kids to anybody that we date. We first dated for about a year. And then we went to blending family therapy, which is another thing that I was like, I really wanted to do that. I was like, this is really important. If we're doing this the right way.
I didn't know such a thing existed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a therapy where they walk you through the process of how to blend the.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
yeah. How to
so
introduce our kids to
awesome.
each other.
Okay.
First I met his kids and then he met my kids, I think, or maybe it was the opposite. I don't remember. And then we introduced the kids to each other. She told us how to go about it. There definitely is like a lot of like it's a very delicate situation. So there's a lot of like that we had to learn him on that. But I was very happy that he was open to going to blending family therapy.
What does that look like? Like, let's say you guys all go out together on a trip.
Oh, it's a blast.
Yeah.
We literally are like head counselors. So they're all girls.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, his girls are ages 8, 10, and 13.
Okay.
Mine are 11 and 12, almost 13. So basically it's 8, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
So, and they're all girls. Thank God they all get along. Obviously, this normal sibling rivalry, that's like normal. You can expect it. But thank God, like really, we're so lucky that they actually get along together. So yeah, we go on little trips together, day trips, things like that, dinner, birthdays, Yom Tovim. So Baruch Hashem.
It's so beautiful for you in a way because like you're able to really see where you came from,
right,
and where you are right now,
right.
And it's almost like it's two completely different people.
It's the gratitude that I have is like when you don't have something and you waited for it for so long and then you have it, it's like, how is this my life? Like, it's you know, it's something that I always wanted. It's something that like I wanted to happen, but like I didn't know if it would.
I have a very deep question for you.
Okay.
I don't know if you'll feel comfortable to answer. Do you see a difference, and can you name it, to the way you felt inside being in your other relationships that weren't healthy and being in this relationship?
100%. I feel like in other relationships, I was always trying to like prove my worth, chameleonizing, not really making sure that our values aligned, versus here, like so many times Brad is like telling me like, take up more space, like stop shrinking yourself. Like even just that is like so different. Like you don't usually hear that, or I was not used to hearing that. So I definitely feel a difference with, I guess you could say, confidence also, because when someone is there and is supportive of you and your journey and your growth and your healing, that does end up making you become a more confident person. So I definitely feel a difference.
Do you feel like you can be more yourself now than ever before?
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
I know.
Yeah. You said that when you were like after your first date with him, you came home and you're like, I met my husband.
The one.
How did you know? Like what did you see that aligned truly with your soul? Like this is it.
I think I mentioned, but just my, like, people would ask me, or he would ask me, what's your hobby? He would always laugh when I said, my hobby is personal growth. He's like, that's not a hobby. But I'm like, that's what literally my life is about, is really just like finding all the parts inside me and like healing them and trying to be the best version that I can. And so when I saw that he was so open, and he also was doing his own work, and he was so supportive of my healing and my journey, that's what I think really was like, okay, this is really it.
I'm curious to go into like your single period for a minute.
Okay.
Can we go there?
Okay.
Okay. As a woman who juggled it all, okay, the finances, taking care of the kids, all of that, what kept you going? Like, how did you push yourself every single day? How did you end every single day?
It was really hard. It was like really emotionally exhausting. And there were just days that it was just like putting one foot in front of the other, making the best of the times when my kids weren't with me and using that time to take care of myself. I really think that helped me a lot. I went on a lot of vacations by myself, sometimes with friends. I would take myself out on dates. I would like go to restaurants by myself and sit. I would go to the park, Prospect Park, Central Park when it was nice outside, just like sit there in the grass, take off my socks and shoes, grounding, journal, listen to meditation. So I really think that's what helped me.
Like feeding yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, taking care of
Dating
myself.
yourself in a way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really had to take care of myself. Saying I had like a very strong, I don't know if strong, but like I had a really few really good friends who were really there for me. Even with the whole on again, off again relationship, you would think that like, some friends would be like, okay, enough already,
Yeah.
like don't talk to me about it anymore. But like they were really there for me. And I don't know how I would have gotten through it without them.
And I'm sure like once you started therapy and all of that, like it helped in some sort of way because it was probably feeding you
Yeah.
in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what advice would you give to a different woman?
Don't settle. That would be like the main theme would be don't settle, don't accept breadcrumbs, say no to everything that is not what you're looking for. Try to make the best of the situation that you're in, going out with friends or yourself or things like that. And not rush into dating, really figure out who you are as a person. And what you're really looking for. Like otherwise, if you're just like going and just like just going through the motions and not really actually consciously and actively knowing what you want, it can be very confusing.
Yeah. What would you tell to the girl that she's actually really nervous? Like, I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to settle down. And I have to. I want to have kids. I want to have my family.
Right.
And in her mindset, like, she's willing to settle.
Right.
Like, I know people like that.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Because if you end up settling, you could end up in the same situation again where it's just not aligned and then things don't end up working out because of that. Dating is very scary. It is. You're putting your heart out on the line. You were already hurt once. And it's a lot harder now. It's not like, oh, just go find somebody new. Like you have to find somebody who's actually going to fit into your life with your kids. Don't settle. I know it's hard. But I feel like something I remember from my therapist is that it's better to be alone than to be with somebody who's not aligned with you and you can just end up in the same situation again.
Yeah. And to the woman who wants to go out and she wants to date, she's not looking to settle, but she wants to date, but she's so scared. She's so nervous because she had a bad experience, right? But she wants to open her heart again. What would you tell her?
Trust your gut. Obviously, it's normal again to be scared. You're putting your heart out there again to get hurt, and you've been through that, so you know it could happen. You just really have to believe and trust that there are good men out there, and that they do exist. And again, when you have that mindset of they do exist and not all men suck, hopefully the type of people that you're going to be attracting will match.
So what did that look like? You just tell yourself this again and again and again?
I feel like I corrected some people. I think there's one person in particular who actually was on an Instagram live and she got really mad at me and she blocked me after. It was like on a live and like she was going on about how all men suck and there's no good men out there. And I literally told her, this was before I met Brad, and I was like, I literally told her, how can you expect to find somebody if all you're saying is that all men suck? How can you want to marry a man then if you're saying all men suck? So yeah, I really ran around saying that. Like there are good men that exist and you have to find the proof that those men exist so that you have that confirmation bias, that good men do exist. Emotionally mature men that are communicative do exist.
I do find it amazing, though, that you came out from one relationship, you opened your heart, you're ready to go into another relationship. Like, it's almost like your heart is okay. Like, you're ready to open it up to
Took a really long
experience
time.
it.
No, after that second big relationship that I had, it was really, really hard. They were really, really dark days. Like I lost a ton of weight. When I'm stressed, I don't eat. I literally became like rail thin. I had such a hard time sleeping. There was like a good while between
Between
that
what?
and starting.
Okay.
I don't have the exact timeline, but there definitely was a really, really long grieving process.
Were you scared to open your heart again afterwards?
I think it was the bigger fear of getting into another toxic relationship
That
rather than
actually,
getting into an actual relationship.
okay.
That's why I became so hyper focused on who's anxious attacher, who's an avoidance attacher. I became like so obsessed
So
with
scared
that.
to like getting into something toxic.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That was my bigger fear.
What do people not understand about what dating after divorce looks like?
So I think they just think it's like, okay, you have to find somebody new, but like they don't realize that you are a busy mother. You're probably working. You're doing your healing after your divorce. And it's not just like, okay, look for somebody new. Like, there's just like so many other factors that are there. And then also, it's not just like find someone new. You have to find someone who is going to fit into your life with your kids. It's not just starting new with no children. So that's a lot harder. And then it's also putting your heart out there. You have to be okay with that. It's not easy for a lot of people to just move on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it really is putting your heart out on the line to the possibility of another relationship failing.
Yeah. And prepping yourself before
Right.
probably is best. Probably.
No, I don't know if like you don't really want to put bad whatevers of like this
Yeah.
might not work out, you
Yeah.
know, but like it's hard to like get excited of like, oh, this might be the one, and then no, it's not. This might be the one, and no, it's not. And like that like on again, off again, and like that's what's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So probably it's advisable to heal a little bit
Yes,
beforehand.
I would say that. Don't be like me.
No, I'm not saying that. I think it's
I
your
definitely think I
story
should have.
that
Right, exactly. That's what led me to
helped
who I am
you.
today.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that to anybody who's at that stage now to heal,
Yeah.
figure out how you contributed to the downfall of the relationship, the toxicity, the dynamic, before getting into another relationship, because we have patterns also. So,
Can I say something? I'm scared to say it, but I think it's important.
okay.
I think that, especially as women, when we do get out of relationships, like the majority of the issue could have been the man's fault. Not necessarily all the time and not necessarily everywhere. But I think that we as women need to take responsibility also.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
You have to
I
take
don't
accountability,
think
100%.
people like to hear that.
People don't like to hear that. People
Yeah.
also don't like to hear that like people should stop generalizing of like women don't need men. Like no, like 100%.
Yeah.
There are definitely toxic women out there.
Yeah.
But
And
even if there's not toxic, even if not speaking about who's toxic, the man or the woman, it's just you also contributed. There wasn't just one person that contributed to the downfall.
Yeah.
And it's important to take accountability for your side of the street.
Even if it was, let's say, I allowed myself to get abused.
Yes.
Or I allowed myself
100%.
to keep on getting into this cycle again and again.
Yeah.
But like walking out of a relationship and saying it's all his fault.
Exactly.
Or it's all her fault.
Exactly.
I mean, if you would hear it from someone else, it's a huge red flag. You'd be like, okay,
yeah,
you know.
That's why I said I love that about Brad, that he was able to, you know, say that he also wasn't 100% correct and right in his marriage, and he also made mistakes, and he's learning from them. Like that's what you need.
This is a very sticky topic, but I love that it's actually coming up here. I never actually like said it like this, but I think it's so important. Like,
so true.
Yeah, like we do need to take responsibility and learn from it. So that way, like you said, like not to repeat that again. Because how many times are we the enablers? We're enabling the abuse or the narcissism or whatever is going on when we have to learn to, let's say, stand up or not be the enabler or learning to communicate. Right. so many different things that
100%.
contribute to the downfall of a marriage, even though, you know, you may not label yourself as the toxic one or the one that, you know, ruined it all, but
you still contributed in some way.
And I think by taking that accountability and taking that responsibility, it only ends up benefiting you.
Right.
And
you
helping
end up
you.
fixing, like healing what it was that ended that relationship and can change things for the future.
Yeah. Yeah. To close this off, okay, I think this was a great conversation and really so inspiring. And so like, my goal is really just for other women to hear this, like women that are in it and they're in the struggle and they don't see the light. Like, and with every podcast, it's like, I think it's like focusing on a different point. And I think this one focused a lot about dating and my podcast is labeled Unshakable Her. Like this is the name of the podcast, like to the woman that doesn't shake when things around her happen, when the storm comes up, when the chaos surrounds her.
I love that.
She knows how to like hold her peace, hold her center, no matter what's happening.
Okay.
How would you define that with your perspective, with everything that you've gone through? What does being an unshakable woman mean to you?
Someone who knows their worth, doesn't accept breadcrumbs, doesn't abandon themselves, doesn't shrink themselves, takes accountability, knows their worth. I think we said that. Willing to grow, be open. I think that's what it means to me.
I think that you are all that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me.
Really, really so nice. Thank you for having me. Oh my goodness.